I'm here today at Limehouse Police Station in the Borough of Tower Hamlets to meet Borough Commander, Chief Superintendent Sue Williams. This interview is really with regards to the recent tragedies that have happened of the 2 deaths, knife crimes, stabbings and loss of lives. I will be asking Sue Williams about issues on knife crimes, hate crimes and other antisocial behaviours, and also asking her what has been done, what she is doing, her visions about community engagement. Hi Sue.
Hello there.
Borough Commander for Tower Hamlets. How long have you been in this position?
So I've been at Tower Hamlets for a year, so really enjoying it. Previously I was the Borough Commander at Redbridge for 5 years.
I'm going to start off by asking, the current issue that happened around Syed Jaminur Islam, the death of the young man on knife crimes. It has been, everybody's had a sort of an emotional roller coaster in the borough. What has been happening since that crime?
So first of all, it's a really tragic event involving the fatal stabbing of a young man, and our hearts absolutely go out to the family, friends and the community. It's absolutely tragic and it should never have happened. So knife crime is a big thing for us. It's something that we take really seriously. We are very focused on wanting to remove crimes from knives from young people, but it's difficult. There are some challenges. And some of the challenges are the abundance of knives that there are. So you can go into your kitchen and there'll be a drawer full of knives. So it's not just about knives that you can buy from shops like lock knives, flick knives. They're everywhere and they're available. So what we would ask is that parents, take responsibility and see what their kids are carrying and have a look and make sure they're not carrying knives when they go out. I know it's difficult, but it's one way to keep your kids safe is to make sure that they're not carrying something in their bags. We do have a knife bin at Bethnal Green Police Station, so if you find a knife in your kid's bag or you carry a knife and you want to get rid of it, then you can bring it into Bethnal Green Police Station. We've had a knife amnesty recently across the Met, and we're also promoting with our officers, making sure that they understand the powers around stop and search. So stop and search is really political. Under a previous commissioner, we were discouraged from doing random stop and search and making it more target, more focus driven, which is right, that it should be intelligence led. But officers have not stopped and searched as much as they have in the past. Maybe that's something that young people see and therefore think that they're not going to be stopped and searched, and therefore they think that they can carry a knife. Well, I've been focusing my officers to use their powers correctly, and if they feel that they have the grounds to search people, they should search them if they think they've got the grounds there for people that might be carrying knives.
That's another important thing that you've said. Obviously, all the initiatives that are happening in, people coming forward, residents coming forward, maybe young people even coming forward, disposing of knives, or even if there is somebody else who's who's at risk of maybe knife crimes. But the other thing is, I want to touch on gang-related incidents as well.
So in terms of our gang, we've done a lot of work with gangs. We had a very young cohort of gangs on this borough. So unlike some of our neighbouring boroughs where they're more adult involved offenders in gangs, ours were much younger people. And we know we have had a lot of success there because we measure it by nominals, that we call them offenders that are on a matrix, and we have less offenders than we've ever had. The stabbings around gang nominals has been reduced by 20%. So we know what we've done has worked, and we're working with our partners and the youth offending team to reduce the number of serious incidents involving people that are involved in gangs. So we're quite confident that the work that we're doing on the borough, and I've invested a lot in extra schools officers. I've got a detective inspector who's leading on youth and schools and the gangs and proactivity, and he's bringing together all the aspects around young people that are involved in criminality to try to divert them from crime. And we use a lot of things like sports initiatives. We try to get kids into what we call mech tracks or mech kicks, which is initiatives around athletics and football to divert them from crime. We're trying to get kids into more boxing because we know on Tower Hamlets boxing is a really big sport, and it would be a really good thing to divert them away from crime into sports. And then we've got a really big cadet program on the borough. It's one of the biggest in the Met. And so we work with much younger kids, so 12, 14-year-olds, to try to divert them away from any sort of criminality by getting them involved in the cadets on this borough, and it's been really successful.
How is this? Is this through youth organisations, schools? How is this delivered?
So, as I said, we've got a really big schools team on the borough, and I've invested in adding more schools officers and a youth officer as well. And the youth officer that I've invested in, he runs the cadet program. So we've got junior cadets, we've got senior cadets, they run over several nights at different schools. The good thing about cadets is it gives them discipline, but it also gives them some insight into policing. So they get to go on events in central London. They would have been on the marathon yesterday, policing in the street. They've been on some of our more events involving royalty, where they've been like royal weddings or the Queen's Jubilees. They will have been along to those sorts of events. They also get to help us in policing. So they'll do things like test purchase, where they're going to a shop and they try and buy alcohol to see if people will serve them underage, and they'll help us with that. And then some of the cadets will choose to do the Duke of Edinburgh scheme, which gives them, and they do some voluntary work as well. And some will decide to go to university, college, some will want to join the police service, or some might just want to become special constables or volunteers and help us out in the future. So it's a really good insight into policing and all the different roles that we have in policing.
All positive. Another part of crime-related issues as hate crimes, as it is out there. Can you tell us a bit on that and what's happening and what initiatives the police are taking on that?
So hate crime, although it has gone up and it's gone up across the Met, we've got a really positive story here to tell. We've been working with the Faith Forum to try to improve people to come forward and report more crime, particularly around race and faith, and that's been successful. We've also had officers working with the LGBT community, and that has improved hate crime against that community. And we've also been working with the disabled community to try to increase the number of disability hate crimes. So although it's gone up, we see that as positive because we've got more people coming forward. If people come forward and tell us where these crimes are happening, I can then put the resources into those areas and into those particular parts of Tower Hamlets to try to bring offenders to justice. And we know that when there's been atrocities around the world, particularly like in Paris and Belgium and Germany, hate crime has spiked. It does go up. It goes up throughout London in terms of with some of our Muslim communities and Islamophobia. So we have seen it go up here on Tower Hamlets, but we've done a lot to reassure the communities. So we will be out doing extra patrols with our neighbourhoods. We will be working with the Faith Forum to try to reassure communities that we are out there and we will support them, and we will come down heavy on anyone that commits an offence against individuals, or particularly when it's hate related.
So people, residents, especially residents, can feel reassured and come to yourselves without, as you know, and I'm sure you come across it as well, that residents don't feel comfortable coming, or maybe they might think their name, they might be, they do want to remain anonymous a lot of the times with regards to crimes, overall crimes. So how do you make somebody, a resident, comfortable enough to come and report a crime or report something that they've seen?
Okay, so we have a community safety unit, and the community safety unit deals with all hate crime. It also deals with domestic violence issues as well, but they deal with hate crime. So they are specially trained officers who will listen to somebody, what they've come to report. They'll provide the confidence for them to take it further if they want to go through the criminal justice system, or they'll help them, put them in touch with other partnership or outreach agencies or voluntary sector if that's where they feel that they would be more comfortable. if people don't want to report in person, we've established third-party reporting sites, and we've just set up one at the Queen Mary Hospital, so that the students there can report hate crimes. But also you can use Crime Stoppers. Crime Stoppers is available for anyone to report anonymously if something's happened to them, or if they've got information, or they want to tell us about something that's happening, whether it's a hate crime or any other crime out there. We will get that information and we take it seriously, and we will deal with it.
Let's talk about the antisocial behavior side of. I know we've touched on it briefly before. You know, residents are affected by antisocial behavior. So if you can tell me, speak about generally what police are doing about that, what you're doing in your visions. And
So I realise that antisocial behaviour is a real issue for many of the communities. I recognise that, and it's one of my priorities for the coming year, as it has been for my previous year. We have over 18,000 incidents of antisocial behaviour, which is the second highest after Westminster. But we record all in one place, whereas other boroughs will have lots of different ways of recording antisocial behaviour. All ours goes through our police system, our 101, so it gets recorded on our communication and dispatch system. So we know where the crimes are happening. We have an antisocial behaviour bus that goes out. They go into what we call the hotspot areas. We've got a new reporting system where we will speak to young people, we record where they live, and we will send those details through to the housing association or the housing providers, and they collate that information. So if the children or the young people are causing a problem more than once or twice, then that could affect their parents' tenancy, where they live, and the housing providers have got a lot more powers in terms of what they can do to prevent people causing antisocial behaviour. So we also recognise that, you know, for a lot of young people there isn't a lot of places to go on the borough, and if they live in flats then they congregate in certain areas. So sometimes they're not actually doing anything wrong, they're just chatting or making a bit of noise downstairs, but that does cause concern for some of our older residents or other people who see young people in high spirits, and they're fearful of them in groups hanging around outside perhaps a flat. So one of the things we've been working with is our repeat victims. So those are people that constantly call us, and we've reduced those numbers quite significantly. So we had quite a lot of repeat victims who kept calling around particular incidents, and we've worked around taking their concerns and working with whoever is causing the antisocial behaviour to reduce those numbers of repeat victims, and that has been successful. Our antisocial behaviour bus that goes out every night has also been successful, and we're working very closely with the partnerships around how we deal with antisocial behaviour. So not just the enforcement, but what we can do with our partnership, the voluntary sector, and also some of our youth services as well, how they can help us working with young people, particularly to divert them away from antisocial behaviour. So there is a lot going on in the borough, and we're just about to sign up to a strategy with the local authority and other partners, and there's some clear recommendations about how we will take forward antisocial behaviour, and it's a priority for me as it is for many residents on this borough.
road accidents around Tower Hamlets, which have been happening since last year. So, you know, with recent, legislations with mobile phones, not using mobile phones, how successful have you been? Has it stopped? Has it reduced?
So sadly we still get tragic accidents where people do get killed on our roads. There's been a lot of work that we've done with putting in cycle lanes that the local authority and street calming, and they put in 20 miles an hour zones. So we've seen a lot of that. Our job is to do the enforcement. So we will do working with road traffic, road transport police. So that's a different sector of Metropolitan Police who will come out onto Tower Hamlets, and we'll work with them to reduce the number of people that are using mobile phones while they're driving, and there are quite stiff penalties around that. So we do take that seriously. We also do look for traffic offences, and we will pull cars over to talk to them about those traffic offences. And we've been working with cyclists as well to try to get them to wear high visibility jackets, and also not to overtake on the inside or to go through red lights. And we know that does happen as well. So we have to work with all sectors of the transport community, and we use our traffic police officers as well to help us out with that. Our neighbourhood officers do a lot of the enforcement around 20 miles an hour. So not so much that it's an enforcement, but it's more raising awareness. So they'll do pick spots up around the borough. Any vehicles that are coming in driving more than 20 miles an hour, we will stop. We will speak to them. We often find that they might have been drinking, taking drugs, or that there are other offences there, or we'll just give them a warning not to drive faster than the speed limit. And we use our special constables as well to help us with that.
The other thing about cyclists, it's not only road crimes with cars, cyclists as well. How I know you've just mentioned about raising awareness, but there are cyclists who do not drive within, or cycle within the cycle lanes and do overtake and do cause accidents as well, as we know. So how are you engaging with the cyclists overall? Because I think it's a bit more difficult maybe to stop a cyclist, or it's easier to stop a car. What's been done about that?
So I mean, it's difficult because we have to look at all road users, and so whether it's cyclists or car drivers, we will have to take the action as necessary. So with cyclists, we do know that some of them, not all of them, but some will choose not to obey the Road Traffic Act and will go through red lights or over crossings when there are people on crossings. So we do have officers that are out on pedal cycles as well, that they can catch them up and stop them, or if we're out in a mobile patrol, we can catch up with the cyclists and we can either warn them about what they've done, or we can prosecute them if we feel that they've done something serious. So we don't always let them get away with it. Sometimes it is difficult. I know that sometimes if you're at a red light and a cyclist goes through, trying to catch up with them can be difficult. But we often ask our road traffic transport police to come work with us, because a lot of those officers are on cycles as well, so they can do some of that work, particularly around junctions where we've had accidents. And we will try and pick hot spots around the borough where we can try to do some proactive work to make people feel safer, whether they're in a car or on a cycle.
Let's talk a little bit, touch on statistics. I know it's not, always pleasant to talk about statistics, but overall with the crimes and in Tower Hamlets.
So most of crime throughout London has gone up, so we're not unique. Our crime has gone up over a few years. So what we've called the MOPAC challenge, which is the Mayor's Office Police and Crime. They set the agenda for our reduction in crime, and we did have a small increase on our baseline. So that has now changed, where we've now been given, under the policing plan that's just been launched, antisocial behavior is a key area that we need to concentrate on. All safeguarding issues and sex crimes, we've been asked to spend more time and concentrate on to use those as a priority. But for me, some of the priorities that the MOPAC have asked me to look at is violence with injury and burglary as well. So those are some of the crimes that we'll be looking at and we'll be measuring to see how well we do over the next 4 years. And MOPAC will be monitoring that as well as we go forward. So the one thing I would say is that East London has a huge population on the increase. Crime has increased significantly across the whole of East London. So Tower Hamlets is not alone in seeing crime raise a little bit, and because our populations are much higher than other parts of London, we're seeing those increases. We've also had a lot of criticism in the past from the HMIC, who have come in and looked at our reporting standards and how we report crime, and we've had to change the way that we report crime. So over the last few years, crime has gone up because we've used different reporting standards to what we previously used, a few years ago. So we will have seen, and that's happened across the whole of the UK. It's not just London.
So
Crime has gone
it's just not Tower Hamlets. It is actually across the UK.
Yes, across the UK, crime will have gone up because of the way that we report crime now is different to how we reported it a few years ago. So when people used to phone in and say that there's a fight in the street, if we got there and we couldn't find anyone, we just mark it up area search no trace. But now, even if we can't find anyone, we have to report that as a violent incident has taken place and record a crime, even though we might not be able to find a victim or a suspect or the location. But that has happened across the whole of the UK, and that's why London in particular has seen a significant increase in violent crime over the last few years.
I know we've spoken about Tower Hamlets and overall UK policing, we've touched on, but it would be really good if you could say something on your workforce, because we don't really hear much. Maybe during recruitment time, if there are recruitment posters going up, but there's not much said about the workforce in general, how diverse it is, the positives. So if you could tell me and tell our residents about that would be good.
So the Met is up to about 32,000 police officers, so we're at our quota. But we have a constant turnover of staff. Currently, we have about 25% of our staff are women, and about 18% are from the black and minority ethnic communities. So that is much better than when I joined. It was much lower, but it hasn't improved significantly. If you look at the numbers of women in London are over 52%, and minority ethnic communities are much higher than 18%. But we are battling with all sorts of other public, private sectors to get good people into the police service from those communities. So we have a number of different campaigns that we've been doing. We only recruit from London at the moment, so that encourages more different communities to apply to become police officers. We're trying to get people to become more special constables, because here on Tower Hamlets we buck the trend. We've got more black and minority ethnic officers as special constables, in our volunteers, in the cadets, and even in our regular officers. We have more black and minority ethnic officers, and we have more women. And as a senior leader in Tower Hamlets, almost 50% of my senior leadership team are women as well. So we're certainly making a difference on this borough.
Overall, what else would you like your borough residents to know?
So one of the things that I've really been working on a lot lately is community engagement. So I've been getting out into the community. We have resident question time where I invite the community to come and meet me. We've set up a series of what we call our Police Academy, where we've been showcasing the sort of good work that we do. So we had one on taser, we had one on forensic. Our next one next week on the I think it's the 3rd of May at Whitechapel Idea Store, is on stop and search and body worn cameras. And we're going to tell the public this is how we operate on stop and search, this is what the law says, this is how we record it and why we do it. And we'll do a little bit about body worn cameras, because they're going to come to all my officers in a few weeks' time. They will all be wearing body worn cameras, and I think that will be a big bonus to the police service. But community engagement is important. I've been visiting different faith, different community centres, youth centres across the borough, and trying to engage with as many people as I can. And I'm very happy if anybody would like to ask me a question, or anybody would like to contact me in any way, they can do that, and we'll give you the email address later and you can publish that. But happy for anyone to contact me if they've got any concerns, or they just want to let me know about some of the good work that my officers have been doing on Tower Hamlets.
The good work that you were saying, on specific issues as taser, and you've mentioned now that you'll be doing a stop and search. Is it like a workshop? How do actually people find out about these things? How is it advertised? Or because not everybody, maybe like myself, I might not be aware of it. So how is that awareness raised that there are things that you're, hands-on in frontline that you're engaged with in the community?
So we have a Twitter account, so you can follow us on Twitter at Tower Hamlets, and we will be advertising our Police Academy on that. We also have our very new online watch link, which is called OWL. OWL is, we're one of the first boroughs in London to go live with OWL. It's an online neighbourhood watch link system where we're able to send messages or text messages about things that are happening on the wards where people live. And we can also advertise more widely events that we're doing across the borough. But if you want to know more about policing in your ward, then you need to sign up to OWL. And that's what the leaflet looks like. But you can follow us on Twitter. We've got a Facebook account that we're just about to launch. So we'll be live on Facebook soon. So we're trying to do more around social media. And we try to do more in the press as well. And try to get some of the good information out about some of the work that we've done and also the work the Safer Neighbourhoods are doing. So I've invested a lot in our Safer Neighbourhoods. So some boroughs have cut back in Safer Neighbourhoods. There is a commitment from the Mayor that every ward will have 2 PCSO dedicated ward officers and 1 PCSO. We have got that on Tower Hamlets, but on top of that I have a neighbourhood task force, I have a neighbourhood investigation unit, I have schools teams, I have partnership teams, and we're looking at how we can work with local authority and housing associations around using officers for more specific things in the future.
So a lot of future awareness, raising awareness. It's all good. It's been really great talking to you, Chief Superintendent Sue Williams, and thank you. A lot of information. I'm sure the residents have also will also enjoy this. Can you just a message? Any last message you'd like before we go?
So I just want to thank you very much and thank your audience for listening. I just want to say that my officers are absolutely dedicated to working hard to keep the community safe, and in particular safeguarding young people. And we will do our very best for the communities of Tower Hamlet. You can contact us via Twitter on the NPS Tower Hamlets account. You can contact me on the OWL, which is the online neighbourhood watch account, or through our Facebook account, which we'll be launching very soon as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you.